We are joined by one of our friends from the Cassopolis Family Clinic Network to bring you the Wide Country Medical Minute. And today we bring in Dr. Paz. And with that, actually, I'm going to call you Dr. Paz because, again, that's something that pals do, right? We're
Yeah,
pals.
exactly. No, it's perfect. I get
Excellent.
called that all the time naturally. So
Well, Dr. Paz, one of these conversations that we want to have here today is something that maybe you might have to bring up with a pal and say, hey, I know you're within a specific age range. You should go and get looked at for this. We're talking about colorectal cancer and why this is so important for us to have early detection and to have these screenings. So let's start
sure.
there. What is the importance of this? Why do we need to do this?
Definitely. So anytime we offer a screening, we're typically trying to detect a specific condition or disease because we have a treatment for it. And often screening is to try to identify it before it becomes a bigger problem. So in this case, colorectal cancer oftentimes starts growing before we would have any idea that it was happening inside of our body. And when we start to have symptoms, which we can get into in a minute, that oftentimes the prognosis or the chances of it disabling us or potentially killing us is much higher. So we want to try to detect it early to prevent problems from being, if it is a problem, being able to treat it as opposed to having something that could take our life.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a difficult thing to kind of talk about. And I know that I've had situations in my family specifically in
Mm-hmm.
regards to colorectal cancer, but a lot of people might be thinking because I feel like I have friends that do this too, that they're a little bit sore or something and they're like, oh, I've got to have this. I know I've got this ailment, right?
Sure.
So what do we need to know about maybe looking at things like symptoms that should take us to that next level of getting that screening?
Definitely. So I would say that, common symptoms of colorectal cancer, most common would be like a change in your bowel movements. So if you're kind of have your regular, everyone's got their kind of normal pattern. If all of a sudden that changes and is a lot different, more concerning would be, looser stools, tarry, kind of sticky stools that are looking black, or you see blood or red in it. That would be definitely a reason to get checked out. If you're having severe abdominal pain and cramping, like I said, rectal bleeding or hemorrhoids or what may be perceived as hemorrhoids could be something more serious. So always checking in with your medical provider to discuss, what's appropriate. In terms of screening for colorectal cancer, though, ideally we want to be doing this before you even have symptoms. Obviously we don't want anyone to have this condition, but the recommendation from the United States Preventative Task Force, which is a group of scientists and doctors that kind of dig into the research to say this is what's really worth doing, says that from ages 45 to 75, you should be screening for colon cancer, even if you don't have symptoms. And that can be happening in a few different ways. The most common would be a stool collection kit at home that then gets sent in. The most common is called Cologuard. Another one is maybe a FIT test. And the Cologuard test is usually done every 3 years as long as it's negative. If it's positive, that means that there could be a problem and you need to have a colonoscopy to detect it further. And then a colonoscopy, for those who aren't familiar, is a procedure in which you have to drink a bunch of liquid to clear out your bowels. Then you go to either a GI doctor or a surgeon, and they give you medicine to kind of put you to sleep or sedate you. And then they put a camera up your rectum and look through the entire colon to look for colon cancer. And if they see any polyps or little growths, they clip them off, send them to the lab to look on, and the pathologist will say, oh, this is not cancer, or this is concerning, and you need to follow up in anywhere from, say, a year to 10 years. So there's quite a wide range of options, but the takeaway is if you're 45 or older and even if you're not having symptoms, you should talk to your doctor about what the right screening test is for you.
I want to address that too, because this is interesting. The process that you explained about what exactly is taking place in a colonoscopy. Obviously, that's a little bit more of an invasive process. Is there a non-invasive process that is also out there to choose from?
Yeah.
Or
So the Cologuard test that I was referring to is a stool collection kit that you can do at home, which sounds, kind of like
Difficult?
an odd thing, but all the instructions are there. It walks you through how to do it,
Yeah.
and then you collect it. You add like a little kind of liquid to it, close it off, put it in the mail. The UPS guy or
Loves that.
post office doesn't really know probably what they're carrying,
Right.
and gets sent. They do. They're looking at different biomarkers, so some DNA biomarkers, or if there's blood in the stool that you may not visually see, but they can detect under more specific tests. And that if they catch any of that, they'll say, okay, this is a positive test. Send you the message, and your doctor the message, and then that would then prompt you to then go have the colonoscopy, because that's where they're going to visualize. But it's nice. You don't have to take a day off work. You don't have to, drink this liquid to clear out your bowels. So for some people who may not have the time or ability to take a day off work, the Cologuard test is a way of kind of giving ourselves some reassurance and say, okay, negative, I feel much better. If it's positive, okay, I really do need to take the time to get checked out further.
Sure. So obviously that's really good information, and we've talked a little bit about maybe who's affected by this, the age range of why you need to get that. Is there any information you can tell us a little bit about maybe those who are at risk? Who are the most likely to be the ones that really need to get this done?
Yeah, so the risk level kind of correlates to the recommendation. So 45 and older is really the highest risk. There's some dietary factors. So people who smoke tobacco or drink higher amounts of alcohol, or really any amount of alcohol, could be at slightly higher risk. Tobacco is probably one of the biggest ones. We know that African Americans are affected more than other ethnicities, and sometimes at younger ages as well. I should mention that if you have a family member who is diagnosed with colon cancer, if it's a first degree relative, that you should be screened 10 years before them. So if say they got diagnosed at say 50, you actually would start at 40 instead of 45 like everyone else. But if they were diagnosed at say 60, you would have already started at 45, so it wouldn't necessarily change anything.
Okay, that's really good information to know then. All
Yeah.
right. The last thing, we've covered a lot of ground, a lot of information, all
Sure.
awesome. But ultimately, like we do, we want to know, how can we help each other out? So how can we help, preventative maintenance?
Yeah, I think, talking about these things, it's a tough thing. People don't like to talk about their bowels, just in general. It's something we all do. So I think that, if you notice a family member suffering or seemingly talking about, their own health, or just in general conversations about health, I think that talking about your experience going to your doctor when you're not having problems, we typically think of going to the doctor when, oh, I have a problem, I need to go get it addressed. Prevention is a big part of that, and seeing your doctor for your yearly preventative visit, or your annual physical, as it would be known, that this is something that would be discussed at that visit, to kind of personalize what would be best in your case, because there are multiple options in terms of screening, like I mentioned. So yeah, just spread the word to family and friends, and say, your parents, if they're, getting up in age, make sure, hey, mom, dad, did you get screened for colon cancer? Or aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, just kind of spreading the word. And people typically think of the colonoscopy as the only option, but now that there's this other test available, you can still get some of that peace of mind and reassurance by pursuing other options.
Yeah. I want to start a trend now. Instead of just going up and, saying, hey, how you doing? I want us to go to our family members and say, hey, how's your bowel doing? It may not end well. Thanksgiving might be ruined, but it's
Exactly.
important.
But yeah, maybe at home, at home, having those conversations with
Don't say it to your waiter at the restaurant. That's not cool.
Exactly.
I
can see my 4-year-old accidentally slipping that into conversation.
Exactly. Dr. Paz, you're awesome. I appreciate you sharing the time here with us and sharing all of your knowledge, and we appreciate you very much. And I want to make sure I give the plug here. If you want to set up an appointment or talk, you guys have a great website at cassfamilyclinic.org, and a great resource. Can we request you as our doctor? Is that possible?
Yes. Yep. I have a little less availability because I do some admin stuff, but any of our providers are wonderful, and will be able to get you the care that you need and deserve. So
Awesome. All right.
Thank you
Well,
so much
Dr.
for
Paz,
having me.
yeah, appreciate you as well. And again, that's your Y Country Medical Minute with the Cassopolis Family Clinic Network.